Laser sights enhance and maintain your accuracy in a time of crisis, preventing tunnel vision and allowing quick target acquisition in awkward shooting positions. Crimson Trace, making laser sight standard equipment. Learn more at crimsontrace.com.
This is Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, now available on iTunes and other podcast clients, and on the free Gun Dealio smartphone app for iPhone and Android. Feel free to call Tom now at 1-TOM-TALK-GUN or 866-825-5486, or email Tom at guntalk.com. Now, once again, here's Tom.
Oh, so much to talk about when it comes to guns. We've got shooting, we've got collective, we've got politics, of course, we have hunting. We have the Olympics coming up. We have all sorts of things going on. And then, of course, we have the interesting twists and turns. Well, I tell you what, in just a minute, I want to tell you about something that happened. Two seriously anti-gun Democrats in Congress requested an investigation, undercover investigation, to expose internet sales of guns. Well, they got what they wanted in the form of an investigation. They did not get what they wanted when they saw the results. We'll talk about that in just a little bit. You know, I've talked about this. You know, they talk about Disney being one of the happiest places on earth. Well, for me, one of the happiest places on earth is in Cody, Wyoming. Not only is it, it's in Wyoming, first of all, gotta like that, but also that's where you go to the Buffalo Bill Center of the West, and you have the Cody Firearms Museum. Joining us right now is the curator of the Cody Firearms Museum, Ashley Hlebinsky. How you doing, Ashley?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm actually in Arizona, so I escaped the cold.
You're thawing out, I see. Good for you. Good move.
Oh, yeah.
Well, for those who don't know, give us the elevator pitch on what the Buffalo Bill, the Center of the West, Cody Firearms Museum is.
Well, the Cody Firearms Museum is one of 5 museums and a research library at the Buffalo Bill Center of the West. And it's an unbelievable facility. It's a 40-acre property in a town of 9,000 on your way to Yellowstone. And the Cody Firearms Museum has an international collection. It's encyclopedic, and we've got over 7,000 firearms. And we've got artifacts dating all the way back to crossbows from the 1200s. And then our most recent manufactured firearm is from 2016. So we try to keep it as up-to-date as possible. And we also display over 4,000 of those guns. And we're about to redo the museum, and we'll be getting up to 6,000 in that new museum of firearms that we'll be showcasing in Wyoming.
So what's the timeline on the redo?
The timeline, it's coming along fast. We will have the new museum open in June of 2019. So right now we're finishing design of the museum, and by the fall of next year, we will have a temporary exhibition on display. So don't worry, if you're coming hunting in Wyoming, you'll still be able to see guns. But we'll have the museum portion closed, and we'll reopen with everything in June of the following year.
How much square footage do you have for the Firearms Museum there?
We've got about 40,000 square feet, and it's over 2 floors. So in the new museum, the main level floor will have several different galleries, multiple shooting experiences. We're looking at laser shots so that people can shoot an M2 in our military wing. They can shoot long-range shooting, shotguns, all up on that main floor. And then our lower level is really for the enthusiast and the collector. So we'll have a gun library down there. We'll showcase some of our wackier prototypes that didn't make it into production. And really, it's the quintessential man cave, but since I'm a woman, it's an everybody cave.
Throughout history, and you know a lot about historical guns, I've always said that guns were kind of the area that historically a lot of tinkerers gravitated toward because, you know, the locks, the designs, this. And as you say, there were some wacky designs out there, but really a lot of guns kind of came out of somebody tinkering with things, don't they?
Oh, my gosh, yeah. I mean, if you look at, John Moses Browning, I mean, he was pretty much self-taught. I mean, you look at a lot of the early designers and what they came up with. I mean, it's truly extraordinary. And I actually think, I say wacky prototypes, but I I really think that some of the failed prototypes teach you more about what we ended up using and how design kind of took off from there than some of the ones that you see and we all know today, because it showed you what didn't work. And what didn't work sometimes can be as educational as what will.
And also, you kind of look at it and you go, some of them you look at and you go, okay, well, I can see what he was going for. And others you look at him and you go, I have no idea what he was trying to do there.
Yeah, there were some production guns that you still look at and you go, why did they do that?
Well, that's certainly true. When people come to the museum, and I know that it's become a real family deal because we get a lot of kids going through, is there a particular thing they like to see or do at the Cody Firearms Museum?
Oh, gosh. I really think it depends on the person. The number one question we get asked in the museum is, where's my gun? And that's not the guns they donated, but, the guns that they own. So people really like to come in and see firearms that they have in their collection, behind glass. It's almost like a stamp of approval, And so people really like to come and make that personal connection. And I think it's really, that personal thing can be anything for a lot of people. But what I think is so cool of our institution is, we're basically a destination for gun enthusiasts, but at the same time, we're probably the only gun museum in the country that gets a ton of non-gun people from the coast, from all over the country, and from around the world, because they pay their admission to go to, the Art Museum or our Plains Indian Museum. And because the Firearms Museum is there, they wander in and they really see how diverse that kind of firearms story is throughout history. And what I like to see is that personal connection comes into them as well. I can't tell you how many people, when I'm giving a tour, and you've got the one person that's super gung-ho about it and the one that's like, I've been dragged here. And I always tell them, I promise you that even if you think you can't find something in gun history that relates to you, that we really can. Because guns have been involved in so many different facets of history, and they've really been integral to all of history since they were invented over 700 years ago. And I think a lot of times today, when you look at modern culture and people that don't know much about guns, or they only know what they hear in the media or in the movies, they think it's this separatist thing, but it's so integral to understanding our history, our culture, and really international history at large.
It's interesting you mentioned that, because I have known a number of collectors who I have said many, many times are really more historians than collectors. I mean, even I think of Hank Williams Jr. I'm at his place, and he pulls out a gun. He said, well, this is a Trapdoor Springfield. This was originally made in blah, 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 and it was originally sold to a Charles Baker, who took it from Missouri to such and such, and you're going, holy cow, it's not a gun anymore. It's a portal into history.
Yeah. It really is, and that's one of the things that we're doing at the Cody Firearms Museum is kind of uniting the collectors that know so much about, either the model they collect or the era that they collect, and then uniting them with people like me who, I'm really strong in certain areas, but my job is to know the entirety and the context of firearms history, and uniting that technical history with that contextual history, because I really think that well-rounded basis puts things into a different light for people.
Interesting. So, all right. So you've got and let me explain to people, because you touched on this. The Buffalo Bill Center of the West is actually 5 museums under one roof. And when you buy a ticket, you can go in and go to any of them. So you move from the Plains Indian Museum to the Draper Natural History Museum to the Whitney Gallery of Western Art, and then you're at the Cody Firearms Museum. So you can gravitate and move all around. And I see what you mean. People come in looking for one thing, and then they discover the guns, and they go, well, that's actually a lot cooler than I thought it was going to be. That was more interesting than I expected it to be. In the end, what they tell you is what they've always told me. There's more to this than I realized, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the number one thing that we hear is just, I didn't realize, Singer sewing machine, was involved in military arms making, or that they didn't know that Winchester made roller skates. And it's just finding those things that connect to certain people.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, let me ask you, you're still doing the Winchester Firearms, sending out the letters, and people want those?
Yep, we do. We have our factory records office, and that is for Winchesters, Marlin, L.C. Smith, and right now they're digitizing. We have the Ithaca records as well. They're not available yet, but we're working on that, and that's for most of the older guns that were made, although throughout history there were fires and floods and things, so not every serial number is still there, but they're happy to look it up and see what they can find.
So you can get a letter that says, yes, this Winchester firearm was made in, 1912 and blah, blah, this, et cetera. And you get this official letter, which is kind of nice to have, especially for collectors. But also if you wanted to hand it down to a family member, that'd be cool to have that letter with it.
It's so important, it's one of the hardest things in the museum world is provenance, like a cringeworthy word for museum curators, because being able to trace something, especially if it belonged to someone significant or was used in a battle or something, it's so difficult. And I think that, having that factory letter, you can show, like, look, this gun left the factory like this, and it's still like this. And it really helps, especially if you ever want to put your gun on display at a museum be able to kind of tie the whole story together.
Right. If folks want to know more about it, the website is centerofthewest.org.org. It is, as I say, it's one of my favorite gun places that anywhere. I just love being there. It just makes me happy walking through the place. I cannot wait to see what you're doing with the renovations and the new museum.
I think it's going to be awesome. I'm excited.
Thank you, Ashley. Thank you so much. Listen, best to you, and I will see you at the SHOT Show.
See you at SHOT Show.
All right, very good. The Buffalo Bill Center of the West, centerofthewest.org, and I'm not kidding when I say it's one of my favorite places. If you get a chance, if you're going through that area, detour, it's worth the effort. 866-TALK-GUN. Be right back with more Gun Talk. When someone leaves you their gun collection, you may want a few, but what do you do with the rest? How do you sell them? Who do you call? Well, I call Johnny Dury at Dury's Guns. Whether you're selling one gun or 500, they'll tell you what it's worth and write you a check. Simple, quick, easy, fair. I trust Dury's Guns. Give them a call. DurysGuns.com.
You know and trust Springfield Armory. Now that trusted gunmaker has an AR-15 rifle with all the features you want. The Saint features a mid-length gas system, a heavy tungsten buffer, and a 16-inch chrome Molly barrel with a 1 8 twist rate. Plus, the Saint has Bravo Company's Key Mod handguard, the next generation of America's personal defense rifle. See video of the Saint in action at springfield-armory.com. That's springfield-armory.com.
Since 1937, Ducks Unlimited has led the charge on wetlands and waterfowl conservation. Wetlands reduce the effects of flooding and recharge our drinking water, but perhaps most importantly, they allow us to experience what makes the outdoors so great. Band together to rescue our wetlands.
For more than 70 years, Timney Triggers has been enhancing the shooter's experience. Whether it's a local competition, a day at the range, or even the hunt of a lifetime. Setting the standard in aftermarket triggers, Timney is now producing more than 170 models of triggers for bolt-action rifles, shotguns, AR rifles, and semi-automatic rifles. Proudly made in the USA since 1946. Find your new trigger at timneytriggers.com.
Telling you, new guns everywhere. We're going to be announcing a new gun tomorrow, live on Facebook and on YouTube. You want to be sure to follow us. You can, you subscribe on YouTube and you like us on Facebook. Make sure I get that right, because tomorrow, probably just after lunch, we're going to have the news of a new firearm. Be careful. Firearm that's coming out. Can't talk about it quite yet. At least I can't tell you what it is, but it's cool. And we're going to have the first live images of it. By the way, new stuff. Wilson Combat introduces the 4.58 Hammer. It's pushing a 300 grain 45 caliber bullet, 2,000 feet per second out of an AR, 3,000 foot-pounds of force, more powerful than the 450 Bushmaster, the 4.58 SOCOM. It is basically it's a 4.58 SOCOM Magnum with a longer case shoulder, and it's loaded to higher pressure, to 46,000 psi. The 4.58 SOCOM is limited to 35,000 psi. Very interesting stuff. They're going to have two different loads for it as well. All right, here's the story. let me make sure I get this right. Okay, Maryland Congressman Elijah Cummings and Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren demanded a probe in the aftermath of mass shootings. And so the investigative arm of Congress, the Government Accountability Office, the GAO, conducted a lengthy covert operation to try to purchase firearms illegally from internet dealers. So you got the setup here, right? You got two virulently anti-gun Congress people who demand that we do an investigation, a covert investigation, on all these people illegally selling guns on the internet, because they're sure the ATF is not doing their job. So they went on the web and they started trying to buy guns, and they tried 72 attempts, 72 times their agents tried to buy guns on the web. Now, not the dark web, okay? This is the legal web, right? So they're trying to buy guns 72 times. On all of those transactions, they failed. Not once were they able to complete the purchase when they indicated that they were a prohibited person. Because of course what they're doing is they're saying, okay, I want to buy this gun, but oh yeah, by the way, I can't really buy it from a dealer because I'm not legal, and boom, shut down right then. Some of the places they tried to buy guns from, they actually shut down their account. They were forums or online groups. Some were from dealers. Let's see, in 5 of the 72 accounts, the GAO tried to set up, the accounts they were setting up were frozen by the websites, prevented the agents from using the forums or attempting to make a purchase. It went on, and they kept trying. 56 sellers refused to complete a transaction. 29 sellers stated they would not ship a firearm, and 27 refused after the disclosure of the undercover identities stated they had a prohibited status. In other words, the whole thing about illegal gun sales on the internet is a myth. Or, if you prefer, it is a dream of the gun banners for them to try to explain bad behavior on the part of criminals. And now remember, Warren is the one who said that Rambo-style assault weapons should be banned. She's co-sponsored a 2013 law to ban military-style assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, saying that Congress would have blood on our hands if these so-called assault weapons aren't banned. More of the same. Danny's on line 3 out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Danny, what's on your mind?
Hi there. Can you hear me okay?
I got you. Go ahead.
Well, I'm motivated to go out to see the Center of the West Museum after hearing you talk about it. Okay. But I wanted to also give a plug for you and members of your audience to consider coming to East Central Oklahoma. We have a number of sites that I think would be very similar to what you're describing. Yeah. One would be the J.M. Davis Gun Museum in Claremore, Oklahoma.
I have heard of that for years, and I've never been there.
Well, come and see it, and then while you're doing that, after you do that, go to the Gilcrease Museum of Art, Western Art in Tulsa, which is top-notch, has Smithsonian quality Western art, and a lot of it. And when you're done with that, go to Woolarock Ranch, which is Frank Phillips' ranch, where you can see all of his stuff, but mainly you'd be interested in the priceless Colt collection that is there. And then when you're done with the Tulsa area, you go to Oklahoma City. There's a Cowboy Hall of Fame.
Right.
And the 45th Infantry Museum, which for any military buffs is a must.
That's very cool. Let me add to that list, if anybody's down in New Orleans, the World War II Museum has grown hugely, and it is an absolute must for anybody who's interested in World War II or firearms or airplanes or, all the rest of it. So we're getting some really great museums around. I definitely want to come up to that area and make a hop around to some of those places, though, Danny.
I think you could spend 2 full days, maybe 3, and not be bored at all.
Well, that sounds good. I am not easily bored, so that would be a fun deal. Look, I appreciate the heads up on that. That is really good info. Let's see. I want to drop down let's pick up line 1 for a second. Joe's in Marshall, Texas. Hey, Joe, what do you want to do here?
Hey, Tom. Well, last year I set a goal. I said, okay, I'm going to the SHOT Show in 18. I was so excited. I started trying to figure out how to get there and found out I can't go because I'm not an industry insider like you are. And so I just wondered maybe if I could use your name, if I could get in the SHOT Show next year.
That won't work either. I mean, and I guess I should explain every time we talk about the SHOT Show. The SHOT Show is not open to the public. You know, the public is not invited and cannot get into the SHOT Show. It is strictly a trade show that is very strictly limited as to who can get in there. You have to be working in the industry, in the firearms industry. You have to, you know, basically be vetted. It's not a gun show. But what you can do to get the similar experience to the SHOT Show is go to the NRA annual meetings. You get almost the same thing with an exhibit hall with all the manufacturers and all. But the thing is, at the SHOT Show, these dealers are not showing guns. They're selling. They're taking orders. They're working. They do not have time to talk to anybody who's not buying guns by, the carload. That's basically what they're there for.
All right. Well, that's good information. I wasn't aware of that last year, but thanks so much.
All right. Good deal. Thank you, Joe. Let's pick up Justin on line 2 out of Granite City, Illinois. Hey, Justin, what you doing?
Well, hello?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, sorry. I heard the line kick in twice. I apologize.
Okay.
I've been carrying an MP 9C for a couple of years now, for a while, and I've really contemplated upgrading to the 2.0 compact since it came out. But I've also been eyeballing the VP9 SK and a P320 compact or subcompact. But my big ponder here is, are those guns really worth the extra investment? I know SIG and HK, you're talking top-tier quality when it comes to firearms, but with the advancements in manufacturing, are you really gaining that much more versus the 2.0 compact to 9mm?
All right. This is the old is it worth it question, which no one can ever answer for anybody. Here's what I'm going to suggest you do. Go get your hands on those guns. Go to a gun store. If you can go to a place that'll let you shoot them where you can rent them, it's even better. But just put your hands on them. You may handle them all and go, yeah, that's fine, but I like my Smith. Or you may handle them and go, holy moly, that feels fabulous. I have to have that. If that's the case, then it's worth it. If you feel them all and you go, yeah, okay, I kind of like what I'm doing, then it's not worth it to spend the extra money. Totally a personal call, personal preference. I can't tell you if anything is worth it or not. I will tell you that guns keep getting better and these manufacturers keep turning out some great products. So look at all the new stuff. Even if you don't buy, it sure is fun to look. Be right back.
Gun Talk encourages you to support the local sporting goods store, gun stores, ATV dealers, and other local businesses in your area who advertise on this station and Gun Talk. Only together can we protect our rights. You're listening to Washington Times opinion page regular contributor Tom Gresham.
And we're back with you. Tom Gresham, it's Gun Talk. We're talking about, your guns, my guns, pretty much anybody else's guns. Ammo. I just had a question from somebody said, look, I can save $30 per 1,000 rounds by buying reloaded ammo. Now that's saving money over buying wolf ammo. Okay. Because he normally shoots wolf. Shoots a lot. And he was saying, basically you talk about not buying reloaded ammo. Of course, my whole thing is, if you know who loaded it, there's reloaded and then there's reloaded. If you're into a store and there's just a big old box or bag of ammo and you don't know who loaded it, I would be a little skeptical. I'd want to know more. If you're buying Black Hills ammo that's remanufactured, that's a whole different deal. I trust those guys completely. It all depends. As with everything else, the answer is always, it depends, okay? Now here's the question for you. Let me throw this out for you and see what you think. Would it be worth saving $30 per 1,000 rounds? Is that 3 cents a round? 3 cents a round? Maybe. 3 cents a round. Would it be worth saving 3 cents a round to buy reloaded ammo if you don't know the source or where it came from. You're just asking 866-TALK-GUN. Where would you fall on that? At what point do you say it's not worth it, or do you just say, oh, sure, saving money is always good? There's no right or wrong answer. I'm just kind of curious as to the thought process, what happens there. All right, here's why we need Donald Trump to keep putting more judges on our appellate courts, that is the U.S. appeals courts. U.S. Appeals Court out of Cincinnati, a divided federal appeals court panel on Thursday upheld the U.S. ban on guns for people convicted of misdemeanor domestic violence, even decades after the offense. Those of you with long enough memories, or if you're old enough, remember that about a year after we started this show in 1995, in 1996, Congress passed the Lautenberg Amendment, named after Frank Lautenberg. Up until that point, you could only lose your gun rights if you were convicted of a felony. This was the first time in history that you could lose your gun rights forever, for life, upon the conviction of a misdemeanor crime. In this case, domestic violence. Once it was passed, a great many police officers lost their jobs because they couldn't be around firearms, because sometime in the past they had had a divorce and the spouse had made a claim of domestic violence. He hit me, he shoved me, whatever. And the lawyer said, look, it's not a big deal. Just plead it out. It's a $25 fine. Make it go away. Let's move on. And they did. Of course, at that point now, there's a misdemeanor conviction or a pled charge on the records, and then it turns out that person cannot own a gun. So you can't own a gun for the rest of your life. In this case, this gentleman named Terry Stimmel, he was blocked from buying a gun at a Walmart store after a background check showed a domestic violence record. Yeah, he was involved in a divorce, and it was claimed that he shoved his wife. He pleaded to it. He served 1 day. And for that, he loses his gun rights for the rest of his life. And so by a 2-to-1 vote, the Federal Appeals Court upheld this, saying that, yeah, that's consistent with the Constitution, that you should lose your gun rights for the rest of your life on this. Donald Trump, so far, we have Neil Gorsuch on the Supreme Court, but he's also put 12 judges on the Federal Appeals Court level. If we can get like 12 more, 24 more, 36 more, that's a game changer. Because so many of these cases, in fact, almost all of them, never make it to the Supreme Court. This case, if appealed, probably will not be accepted by the Supreme Court. We just had a Maryland case where they ruled that a so-called assault weapons ban was legal, got turned down by the Supreme Court, wouldn't take it. So the appellate court, the appeals court, is where the decision that lasts forever is made. We're in for some interesting times. We are in for some very interesting times. I want to drop back to this story about the Democrat Congress people who demanded that Congress, through the Government Accountability Office, do an undercover investigation of internet gun sales and all the illegal sales taking place there. And I want to ask you this. Have you heard about this story? This is a major story because the GAO, the Government Accountability Office, did a study, did a covert undercover operation trying to buy guns illegally from internet dealers. They said they were in other states. They said they just wanted it shipped there, but they didn't want it shipped to a dealer. They wanted it shipped directly to them. They said they're actually a prohibited person. They did all these things that it would have made it an illegal sale. 72 attempts, 0 sales. Not one time would anybody sell them a gun and ship it directly to them over state lines, or send it to them when they found out they were a prohibited person. And then, of course, no surprise, the Congress people wanted this study buried. This is a major story. This is a story that the media should be talking about. They won't, because you have to understand, at its core, the gun control debate, the gun control argument, the gun control effort, the gun ban industry is not really about guns. What it's really about is part of the culture war. They don't want to eliminate guns, they want to eliminate us. Well, that sounds radical, Tom. It is radical. True, but radical. It is factual, but it sounds extreme. He's one of those extremists. I guess when you look at facts and you say, this is what I see, maybe some people think that's extreme. How can I say they want to get rid of us? It's not so much guns they don't like, it's gun owners they don't like. Because, as in this case, during the break we're talking, and Jim said, well, doesn't this just show them that they're wrong? Well, they don't care if they're wrong. There actually is no right or wrong to it. There's just, I want this to happen. I want to eliminate guns because I don't like the fact that there are gun owners. I don't like the fact that there are people, and here's where it gets down to it. I don't like the fact that there are people who don't depend upon me, the government, for everything. When you get down to it, that's what's really going on here. This is a total culture war from the industry that is the government, from the industry that is Washington, D.C., and all of its little arms out there, whether it's Sacramento or Salem or wherever it happens to be, in a state capital. This is a war on people who are independent. It's a war on independent thinkers, people who say, I will take care of myself. I got this. Oh, no. Because if you can take care of yourself with that, then you don't need us. And if you don't need us, then you may get rid of us. Not literally. But that's kind of what's going on here. It's a culture war. And when you understand it's a culture war, then you kind of get the whole thing. All right? It's as simple as that. All right, so what are you going to buy in 2018? I got a thought for you. If you don't have one, if you've never owned one, how about this is the year you get a 1911? To all you 1911 owners, I need your help. Call me right now and explain to people why, if they've never owned a 1911, they need one, okay? If you're a 1911 guy or gal, I need some backup here. Explain what is so cool about 1911s and why people should buy them. Our number is 866-TALK-GUN.
There's only one place where you can buy that firearm you've always wanted and turn it into your very own. That place is Brownells.com. Now offering a huge selection of firearms from all your favorite brands. Brownells is the spot to buy online. When you're choosing your gun, be sure to look over the enormous selection of parts, accessories, ammo, and more to make that firearm your masterpiece. Brownells.com. Serious about firearms.
Are you looking for a place to shoot? The National Shooting Sports Foundation has a great website called wheretoshoot.org. It's the largest database of shooting ranges on the internet. It's also a great resource for shooters where you can find video tips, printable targets, and a lot more. Find it online at wheretoshoot.org. And while you're there, download their free iPhone app. That's wheretoshoot.org.
If you carry a gun, you need training. Your concealed carry class was definitely not training. But time, money, and obligations keep you from spending days at a shooting school. The trusted folks at Gun Talk can help. Concealed Carry 1, our DVD featuring the VADA Group, covers what gun, what holster, how to carry, where to wear your gun, and much more. Visit shopguntalk.com. That's shopguntalk.com. Look, this really is life and death. Learn how to stay aware, how to get away, and how to fight if you must. At shopguntalk.com, you can get the 2 DVD set, including Fighting with the 1911 with Tiger McKee. No matter what gun you carry, this vital training info can save your life. Learn the draw, the stance, reloading. Vital gear from Gun Talk.
That's shopguntalk.com. shopguntalk.com.
In the war on terror, fighting crime in the streets, in competition and homes around the world, one name in firearms stands out: Sig Sauer. Our pistols and rifles are renowned for their unfailing performance. This same commitment to excellence can be found in our line of SigTac accessories and the training offered by the Sig Sauer Academy. For unmatched quality, reliability, and innovation when it counts, choose Sig Sauer. Visit sigsauer.com today.
All right, we're in California, where Steve Perkio, a retired construction worker, wanted to buy a gun, wanted to carry a gun for protection, wanted to apply for a concealed carry permit. Yeah, no problem, right? 2016, except that now he's found out it's 28 months and waiting. 28 months and waiting for the Riverside County Sheriff's Department to process the concealed weapon license application. It says it just can't keep up because there's so many of them. Look, we have stacks of them there. It's kind of the basis for why people say, well, what's wrong with registering a gun? What's wrong with filling out a permit? What's wrong with, filling out an application? What's wrong with all of those things? Well, a lot. First, to start off with, a lot. But then, what if the agency just decides to simply not process the applications? Well, they wouldn't do that. Really? They are. They have. They do. I'm reminded of the old literacy test in the old bad South, when an African-American man would go in and register to vote. They had a literacy test. You had to be able to read. And when a white man goes in, they hand him, see Percy run. Percy is a cat. And when the black man goes in, they hand him a newspaper in Chinese. Oh, that would never happen. Yeah, it did. An agency would never refuse to process applications for guns, right? Except when it does. And says, we're just overwhelmed. We're just overloaded. We just can't get to it. Culture war. I'm telling you, it's a culture war. It's not that they don't like guns. It's they don't like us. And I would throw this out for you. Consider this as an experiment. Take that concept of it's not the guns, it's us they don't like, and start listening to the news. Watch CNN, watch MSNBC. Go to some of these more left websites. And you realize that they really don't like us. And as much as possible, they would like to put a clamp on us and our lifestyle and what we do and our freedom. I know people are going, oh, that's just crazy, Tom. Well, I just say, offer that out. Throw it out there. Let's see. Let's go to line 2, where Stephen's with us out of Texas. Stephen, what's happening in Texas?
Yeah, I just wanted to make my range report on the 1911.
Go for it.
I was not doing very well with my polymer guns. I wasn't improving at the range, and some guy comes along and drops a 1911 in my hands. I got big hands, so the grip just felt real good, and
yeah.
I hit the X at 30 feet, right dead center. Then I thought I missed the second shot.
Yeah.
So I really took a good look at that hole, and it was elongated.
Really?
And I thought, I've never done that before. I now pack a Ruger SR 1911 for my regular carry gun now.
That is terrific. And that's kind of the beauty of the 1911. It's a gun made for shooters. It is easy to shoot. The trigger is terrific. The system simply works, which is not bad for a brand new design. Yeah, right. Adopted by the military in the year 1911. For those who don't know where the 1911 comes from, that's where it was. The U.S. military adopted it in 1911. 11. That's a while ago now. 866-TALK-GUN. Richard, don't go anywhere. We're going to get to you. If you'd like to join us, give me a call right now. I'm Tom Gresham. I really do think that one of the big stories of 2018 when it comes to gun owners is going to be the whole legalization of marijuana and how that's going to affect the gun owners in many states now. Well, first of all, even if it's legal in your state to smoke marijuana, it is illegal on the federal level, and people who use marijuana are prohibited by federal law from owning guns. Okay, so start with that. I think we're going to see a lot of angst, a lot of enforcement, a lot of problems on this, and there's going to be a ton of pushback. We're not sure where it's going to end up, but I was asking for your thoughts on it, and Richard's on line 3. He's called in from Anchorage with his thoughts. Richard, what do you think?
Well, like you, Tom, I'm totally against any legalization of marijuana or any other drugs. I've never smoked or used anything.
Wait. I did not say I'm against the legalization. I just said I've never used it. But I am definitely not opposed to the legalization of some drugs.
Okay,
we're going to split on that.
I'm against it, and I've never used it, so that's my opinion. But anyway, I'm also against any law enforcement using a registry of applicants for medical marijuana or any other thing from using that to restrict otherwise legally able to buy firearms people from purchasing firearms. To me, that would could lead into the same kind of thoughts being used against anybody who might buy alcohol, for instance, say with a credit card. That would be the first step in preventing legally otherwise legally able to buy firearms folks from actually buying firearms. And that's like the camel getting his nose under the tent.
Well, it's an interesting idea, Richard. Let me expand upon that, because I'm just kind of playing with that idea. And what people are going to say, well, they wouldn't do that. Well, but what if they said, okay, but if you're an alcoholic, if you're addicted to alcohol, then you can't have a gun. And then through your credit card purchases, they start totaling up how much alcohol you buy and just saying, okay, that's too much. We have declared you to be an alcoholic on the basis of that, and now we're going to ban you from owning guns. That's not as far a stretch as some people might think.
That's right. And but the thing is, we already have laws that take care of those situations. And I agree, if somebody's out breaking the law because they're using alcohol or marijuana, then take it to the fullest extent. But take a guy that's sitting at home smoking a joint, in his home, not bothering anybody. I don't think his right to buy a gun should be infringed. Just like if I
agree with
around
you.
my house having a drink, I don't think I should be infringed because I've got a gun right there beside me when I'm having my drink in my own home.
Yep, not hurting anybody. But I appreciate it, sir, and it's an interesting idea. Yeah, for those who are now confused, yes, I've never used marijuana, but I don't smoke anything. But I also think when you take the criminal element out of it, you're going to take the crime out of it. When you legalize it, you get rid of a lot of the illegal sales. And I've always said that. Is that going to be good? I don't know. We're doing the experiment. We're going to find out. I don't know. Somebody from Colorado could probably call me and tell me how it's working out there. We'll talk about that. But it is a problem right now because there's this conflict between state law and federal law, and the feds are saying we're going to clamp down on it because it's illegal. And they're saying if you are using marijuana, that is prohibitive. You cannot own a firearm if you are using marijuana. And, of course, if you've got the medical marijuana card, they've got you in the database. They just cross-reference that, and they'll check that database when you go to buy a gun and go, nope, can't buy a gun. And if you're a state where you have to register guns or be a licensed gun owner, they are doing that cross-reference now, and they're going to people's homes, and they're taking all of their firearms on the basis of this. We have a problem. We have to see how it's going to get sorted out. Tell you what, when we come back, let's talk to one of the leading firearms trainers and, frankly, the guru of self-defense with guns and find out some things that you may not know about. We'll be right back with more Gun Talk.